many of you are rightfully furious as we have been promised as Donald Trump came in the office that they would release the Epstein tapes. Yet now we're finding out that apparently what was leaked on Sunday night through Axios was that there is no Epstein client list, according to the internal FBI documents. And welcome back on Monday, folks. It's great to be back with you here in this new month, and I hope you had a great 4th of July with your friends and family, as we will expose the deep state and the fake news every day here on the CASHLOREN Show. Starting out with Axios, so this came out on Sunday night, and they said in here that they had exclusive. The DOJ and the FBI concluded the Epstein had no client list, and he died by suicide. And many of you are scratching your heads, and I can understand why you are. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. I mean, how does all this work? You have Maxwell. She is sitting in prison here for 20 years. You had Epstein also in prison until he allegedly committed suicide. Well, if they're in prison for sex trafficking, who do they sex traffic to? There has to be some record somewhere, but there has to be something. And yet now we're being told that, oh, hey, you know what? This just is what it is. Move on with your lives. And on at least on my page, people have been very upset, and I agree with them throughout this entire time. Now, initially on Sunday, when this first came out, I said, just wait a minute. Let's just take a pause. Okay, we have the deep state, right, leaking a memo to the fake news networks. And all of you who listen to this show and other shows like this, you should immediately, and rightfully so, have red fire alarms go off in your head. Your little Bowman pulling him, right? Because this is the trick that they do all the time to try to mislead people. Is the deep state will leak something to fake news will run with it, and then all the other networks that are all in the back for the Democrats, the MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, other Times, Washington Post, politically Axios, all of them are Team Democrat. So they give you partial information, and then they continue to go and leave out the parts that would have given you context, because that's the way they normally lie to you. They will tell you the parts they want you to know, so that's the truth, but then they will marry it to a lie by leaving out the context that if you'd known the whole story, then you never would have gone with what they had wanted you to go with in the first place. That's the vast majority of the time of how they lie. I call this the three-headed beast from the DC abyss. You have the deep state, these bureaucrats who think that they are born to rule over you. And no one's elected them. You don't know who they are. But they think because they have Ivy League degrees and they got these cushy government jobs that they are smarter than you and they are better than you. And then you have the other head, you have the fake news networks, as we just listed them all out. And these are the same ones, these liberal elites that pretend to be journalists, but they are really just activists. And they will sit there and they will lie happily for the Democrat Party because they don't believe it's their job to tell you the news. See, they think it is their job to tell you what to think. That they are above you, high above you, in their lofty ivory towers. And then the last hat, of course, is the Uniparty. So this is the Democrats who've ran the federal government with the help of the deep state for most of everyone's lives. And then you have the rhinos who pretend to be Republicans, but they are Republicans in name only. Okay, these neocons, these shiny shoe Republicans, whatever you want to call them, they are all in it Democrats. Okay, there is nothing conservative about these people. They are more than happy to play second fiddle, and they are more than happy to lose. So when this first came out, this had all the warnings of the same old stuff, right? Memo gets leaked to fake news by the deep state. Fake news runs with it, but this appears to be more legitimate than many of us have wanted. I mean, how does no one else go to prison for this? And of course, the left is trying to say, well, Donald Trump, he is hiding this because he doesn't want to go to prison, which is absolute BS. And the easiest way to disprove how Donald Trump could ever have been a pedophile on the Epstein's Island is that Joe Biden was president with Merrick Garland and Chris Wray, who went mercilessly after Donald Trump. And they wouldn't have made up the boxes hoaxes. They wouldn't have made up the felonies. They wouldn't have made up Gene Carroll if they had Donald Trump on Epstein Island doing who knows what with these poor kids. Donald Trump would be sitting in prison right now. And so that's why I don't believe it. Even when Elon Musk is still trying to push this stuff again, and we'll cover that part here later in the show, it still makes absolutely no sense. Just like it makes no sense how Maxwell is sitting in prison and Epstein allegedly commits suicide in prison when they were both convicted, but none of their clients were. And to this day, we don't have the answers. And then Elon Musk, he posted here, and as much as I agree and I don't agree with Musk, especially lately, this is one of the parts where I feel very strongly with him. Okay, officially, Jeff Epstein pedophile arrest counter, 0. Why? We won the White House. We now have Kash Patel as head of the FBI. And we now allegedly have a DOJ, Pam Bondi, who is supposed to be on the side of justice, that is going to be blind. And it doesn't matter if you are a billionaire and you commit crimes, then you go to prison. I mean, isn't that what they told us all this time? Right? Isn't that what the Democrats screamed? How nobody was above the law? And then Elon, on his midnight, when he's posting early this morning, we will release the Epstein list. We just need more time. The Epstein list is on my desk. There is no Epstein list. Now, there can be a couple different sides to this because I think they're kind of doing what they normally do. And this is my suspicion, is that they're marrying a lie with the truth, again, like they do. Meaning that maybe Epstein never kept an individual journal or a list himself. But to think that there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever to put any of these people away is just not believable. And I voted for Trump. Okay, I am very happy I voted for Trump. I would vote for Trump again. He has brought our country back. He was the one person standing in the way of defeating this communist, Marxist revolution that the Democrats tried to overthrow our government with. Without Trump, Kamala's probably in president right now. Without Elon Musk purchasing Twitter and switching into X, Donald Trump is probably in prison and Kamala is probably president. And if that happened, they would have let tens of millions of more people into this country and you would not recognize it anymore. We would never have another free election again. Do not doubt me on that for a single second. That is where this country, how close we came to the Democrats, these communists, completing their communist revolution. And through all their isms, however they want to call it, whether they want to call it liberalism or progressivism or socialism, all these other isms, they're all just Marxism repackaged to create communism. Never doubt that for a single second. Now we had Pam Bondi, the DOJ, who she said all this stuff was sitting on her desk. And I think that was back in February when she released those binders. Where it was supposed to have all those Epstein files on it, right? And so they had those creators come down and then they gave them binders and they had their little cameras and they got the little photos. And then later on, we find there's virtually nothing new in these binders. At least none of the really things that people really wanted. And then we started hearing rumblings about how the evidence was being destroyed. Was it? I don't know. But it wouldn't put it past, an FBI that was ran by Chris Wray, who was very happy to be in the bag for the Democrats. And understand that these deep bureaucrats, these unelected officials, they truly do believe that they rule over you. They are part of the DC establishment. They are the ones that think that they are smarter than you. They are the ones that think they are wiser than you. They are the ones that think they are better than you. They think that they get to rule over you, that you pay your taxes, and then they regulate you. This is the DC club. If you want to see the swamp, or you want to see what some people call the blob, or what I call the three-headed beast from the DC abyss, you're seeing it play out right now. You're seeing how the elected officials who are supposed to run our country, as according to the Constitution of the United States of America, don't always do so. In fact, often they're more than happy not to run the country. They want the deep state to, because they're absolute cowards. They don't want to risk their careers in Washington. They just want to go there and they want to shake their hands with the movers and shakers and go to the fancy parties and meet with the lobbyists and move around your tax dollars from one pocket to the next and somehow making themselves worth millions of dollars when they make hundreds of thousands. They don't want Donald Trump back in office. They don't want you, the American people, having a say in your government. I can't overstate this enough. And we're finding out now how deep this deep state is. When we have a DOJ who seems unwilling to prosecute these people. I mean, Pam Bondi said it was on her desk. And now you have Caroline Levy, who is just an amazing press secretary. And I love enjoying watching her just drop bombs and drop the mics on all these fake news hoaxers and opening up the press room to actual independent journalists who are now asking real questions instead of the same loaded fake news questions that made them unbearable over and over and over again. And I understand that she works for Donald Trump. And her job is to spin for the administration. Just like Jen Psaki was. And one of the things about Jen Psaki is she was at least competent before Karine Jean-Pierre, who was only there because she was a black lesbian woman who checked all the right DEI boxes. And we saw how that went when she failed over and over and over again and then pretended she was a victim. But at least Jen Psaki could spin. And so now we have fake news Fox. They're going to ask Caroline Levy about the Epstein files. And listen how Peter Dorsey asks her, and then how Caroline spins this.
DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
Okay, so that first part's not Peter Dorsey. It's further on in the clip. But he's asking there, what do you say about MAGA? Because this was all promised to us, right, on very day one.
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic.
All right, stop there for a second. So that we would agree, right? No one should be above the law. If you're a billionaire and you're doing who knows what with children, then you should go to prison, right? Pedophilia is a crime. So I agree with that. But if that is all true, then why is no one being locked up? I mean, Joe Biden's time, he wasted none. Immediately, his DOJ started going after January 6ers and grandma's pairing, and then calling parents who went to school boards domestic terrorists. Yeah, our DOJ, when they are doing some really good things, the FBI and the DOJ, they are arresting bad guys and criminals. Okay, this isn't all or nothing. But on this Epstein list, as we've heard for such a long time, of the two-tiered justice system, and that certain people, if you got enough money and you got enough wealth and you got enough power, then you are above the law. And part of why we voted for Trump is to end that two-tiered justice system. And at the end of the day, All I want to know is the truth. That's really all I want. If the FBI or the CIA or whoever destroyed all the evidence before Donald Trump came in, then just tell us. Right? Just be honest with us. But don't sit there and tell us that you have all this on your desk and that's going to be released, and then do all these fake binders for your photo ops, and then go on Fox News every single night when nothing is being done. Okay, I am strong Trump supporter. I would vote for him again. I say that because I am not a simp for the Republican Party. And as a conservative, I do think independently, and like you do if you're listening to this show, I'm sure. And I don't believe that Trump's administration is absolute 100% correct. I also am not arrogant enough to believe that this deep state just went away because Donald Trump became president. You have very many deep bureaucrats who are buried into their jobs. And do not doubt for a second, they are doing everything in their power to try to undermine Donald Trump's administration. And part of the reason is they don't think that they can be held accountable. They don't think they can be found. They don't think they can be arrested. They don't think they can be prosecuted. And why would they? If they have gotten away with it for all these years, then what's changing now? See, until people actually get arrested and start getting prosecuted, then none of this stops. And if they don't do it, as soon as Trump leaves office, these deep state bureaucrats, they're going to go right back to what they were doing before. USAID, all these NGOs, these corrupt bureaucrats will get back in on the DOJ and the FBI and all these other government agencies, and they would just go right back to the deep stating. We have this one shot now to end it. And I know we're up against a break. Let me see if I can find Peter Dorsey. There it is. Okay. So here is Peter Dorsey and his question to Caroline Levy.
Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars.
Good. Then get these people. If you have it, then do it. Now, maybe Pam Bondi misspoke. Maybe give her the benefit of the doubt when she said that she had the list, and maybe this list isn't exactly what we think it is. Like Epstein kept a list of all his clients. Maybe they're talking more about the overall evidence they have. I mean, she said she had a treasure trove. Remember right? Didn't she say trucks full, if I remember right? Didn't the FBI find what they call the secret room? I want arrest and I want prison. If this doesn't happen, if these people continue to be above the law, and then they will just come right back roaring, and we'll be right back in the same spot we were before Donald Trump took office. He has done so much for our country, risked everything to save us from a communist revolution. But these people don't go to jail. They're going to continue to think they're above the law, and they're going to continue to break that law because they think that they can't be held responsible. And my clock is blinking bright red at me. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the ICE, who was just given hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're stepping up in a big way and going after a major Democrat stronghold, just as promised. And you're going to watch the left all melt down. We'll get that and a whole bunch more right after this greedy profit break. This is the CASHLOREN Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, TRexPets.com is your home for your animals' needs, from their food to their toys to any other accessories. You can find it all over at TRexPets.com. Stop giving your money to these woke box stores who don't care about your values and push all this woke nonsense garbage. Enough is enough. Over at TRexPets.com, they are America First, conservative, loving family, guaranteed to be woke free. That is over at TRexPets.com. Go there today, sign up, and with your $50 purchase, you'll receive a free gift with your order. That is over at TRexPets.com. Put your money where your values are, guaranteed to be woke free, unlike these giant big box stores that put America last. Go to TRexPetStores.com right now and buy your dog food, your cat food, and other supplies. Head over right now over at TRexPets.com. That is T-Rex.Pets.com. The corporate media has lied to the American voters for such a long time that they have lost all their influence as a result. And this has also led to the rise of the independent creators, just like here on the CASHLOREN show, where we take our spare bedroom and convert it into a studio. If you're enjoying this content, it will always be free, but you can continue to help support monetarily if you choose to do so. Click on the locals link. It is only $5 a month. This is just a cup of coffee. Not only will you be supporting an independent creator, but you'll be getting lots of free perks in addition to that as well, including exclusive articles and Sunday shows, and thanking you at the end of videos with your name recognition. Take a moment and consider it and help support independent creators as we fight fake news. Go to locals right now, hit the support button for just a cup of coffee a month. It'll be worth every single penny, and you're getting lots of extra benefits too. One of Donald Trump's many promises is he was going to secure our border and deport all of these illegal immigrants from our country. And he has held up to that promise, as we covered in the first part, how the Epstein files have very disappointed us. The other thing that Donald Trump really has done strong is he's bringing back our economy as promised through his tariffs and through securing our border and deporting every single illegal immigrant, just like we voted for. And the left is melting down and losing their minds, all because that they think that they have a right to decide which laws will be followed and which laws will not. You will often hear this be called the two-tier justice system. This is the Democrats, and they chose that, our border, for example, they left it open for the last 4 years, let tens of millions, maybe more, into our country. And then they tell you the honest truth, just like we've been saying this entire time, how they wanted to make these illegal aliens legal. We said right from the start, that was their plan. And of course, what do the Democrats do when they always do? They went and they lied to you, the American people. They lied about the border. They lied about how many people were coming in. They lied about where your tax dollars were going then and now. And now that Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill has passed, ICE and now, and with the Department of Homeland Security, can now continue to deport every single illegal immigrant. I mean, they were giving over $100 billion. I think it was $170 billion, if I remember right, making them larger than most militaries in the world. And that just brings me joy. I mean, does that bring you joy? I know that brings me joy. I'm very happy for this, folks. It's great to be back with you again here on the CASHLOREN Show, where we will make liberals cry tears that are saltier than McDonald's fries. If you are sick of fake news, take a moment, hit that repost button, and help us spread an American first message. We go in now with Tom Homan, who, now that he's been given more and more money, and they did the thing they said they were going to do, is that they were going to go after these sanctuary cities and the Democrats. See, in their woke Marxist ideology, the Democrats think that they can just make up words and then create law from those words. So they call it a sanctuary city. What does that mean? That means that illegals come into their cities or come into their states, and the Democrats will not prosecute them for committing crimes. Okay? Coming into our country illegally is a crime unto itself. And the due process for committing that crime is being deported out of our country expeditiously, as fast as possible. Arrest and deport every single one. I mean, it's a point where even CNN, where they ran their fake news polls and they tried to rig their polls asking for 100% deportations, thinking that would come out at a really low number. It's only like the criminals, quote unquote, but not the everyone else. But to CNN's own shock, 57% of their own fake news viewers said 100% of illegals to be deported. See, this is why Donald Trump, he gained more popularity than he had before. It was on illegal immigration. This is why he gained ground on every single demographic, except I think it was black women, if I remember right. But certainly like Latinos in South America, and everywhere else, because people understand that you can't just have an open border and let your country be invaded. If that happens, then we become London. We become France. We become Europe, where the jihad is taking over. So we have to stop it now. We have to protect our country. And Donald Trump is doing that just as promises. Find out he's more popular now than he was in the past. And this is coming from Tom Homan. He said, deporting 3,000 illegals per day is not enough. I am 100% agreed. And he says that, according to Tom Judge Dredd Homan, he says that we have to arrest 7,000 every single day just to catch up with what the Biden administration allowed in our country. Let's say that again. 7,000 illegal aliens a day. Wow. Just to catch up, not including what was here before Biden opened our borders. I just imagine the tax cost to us. Imagine how many seats in the House the Democrats shouldn't have. That's the part that they don't ever want to tell you when they say things like illegals can't vote. Like somehow just because a law is a law, that it's 100% followed. I mean, it's also illegal to speed. But the parts they don't tell you is like on our census, where you don't have to vote. It's just a head count, and there's no requirement for citizenship. How many of you knew that fact? So they, of course, bring in all these illegal immigrants. They put them on all your tax dollars. And then when they also do things like they lie about, oh, illegal immigrants, they can't receive Medicaid, right, from the federal government. That is also a blatant lie because it's married to a truth that is a lie. And so, yes, under our laws, they're not supposed to, but it's done all the time. And one of the ways that they do this on the back end of it is that they'll use state funds and they'll try to get the federal funds to backfill the state Medicaid funds. That happens all the time. Or you're not allowed to go in and try to look. So you have to say, trust me, bro, there's no illegals on Medicaid. There's no illegals on Social Security. Just like they told us that FEMA money was not being used to house illegal aliens. We found out that was not true too. Now, this leads into where they've given over $150 billion, and now they're going after these blue states. Okay, and not because these blue states are Democrat, while that is part of it. That's not the reason. It's the same place a police officer would go to anywhere. If there's a crime, the police go to the crime. Right? If you're a law-abiding house or you're a law-abiding citizen, how often do the police show up at your door? I've never had the police show up at my door other than when I invited the sheriff over to do an interview. Because we don't break the law. If I do something minor and dumb, like I get pulled over for speeding, right? I show them my ID, I show them my insurance, my registration, and maybe I'll get a ticket, maybe I'll get a warning, but I don't get arrested, I don't get the car, right, impounded, I don't get fired from my job, right? All the other bad things that happen from not obeying the law. This is the same thing that's true here. And they continue to lie about all these illegal aliens, and they try to pretend and call them that they're dreamers, or that they just want to join our society, or how evil these Democrats are when they talk about, well, who's going to pick our fruit? Well, I don't know, Democrats. Who's going to pick your cotton? See, that's how evil these Democrats are, is they lie about all these situations. And the vast majority of these people that are getting arrested are violent criminals. You see, the Democrats, when they pretend to whine and cry for these illegal aliens, you don't ever hear them crying for people like Lake and Riley or any of the other American citizens who have suffered, because they see American citizens as last. And the only thing the Democrats ever care about is criminals, because they overwhelmingly vote Democrat. Do not doubt that for a single second. Now, they're going into California, and they're targeting what is a hotbed for a lot of MS-13 gang activity, one of the most brutal, violent gangs there are in the world, that the Biden administration allowed to walk right into our country. And the Democrats, of course, are doing what they always do. They're defending illegal aliens, just like the LA mayor is here, Karen Bass.
So I am going to say,
Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone and we're departing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor Bass.
Aaron Bass.
Mayor Bass.
Any comment, Mayor Bass?
Thank you.
Mayor Bass, any comment?
Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
Who did you speak with?
Just wait and see.
Mayor Bass,
They will be leaving soon.
Mayor Bass, who did you speak with on the phone just now? Who did you speak with on the phone?
The head of customs.
Wow.
How dare they? How dare the law enforcement enforce our laws? How dare they come to California? I mean, she is the mayor of Los Angeles. What the heck do the federal government think that they are doing in her town? I mean, she, all of a sudden, pretending she cares about democracy. See, she gets to decide which laws are going to be followed and which laws are not going to be followed. As the Democrats have decided that if you're an illegal alien, that you're just an undocumented worker. Or what was the most radical one I think I heard? It was an undocumented citizen. Whatever the hell in the woke, who knows what world that is. But the Democrats, their two-tier justice system that always benefits them with their fake morality, telling police to get out of their town and stop enforcing our laws. You know what needs to happen instead is if she tries to impede law enforcement, she needs to go arrested and she needs to be put in prison. She needs to find out, like every other Democrat, that they are not above the law. I don't care if you're a mayor. I don't care if you're a governor. I don't care if you're a sheriff. I don't care if you're a city council member. Isn't that what the Democrats say all the time? That nobody is above the law? They don't get to pick and choose which laws are enforced. That's not how our country works. But they've gotten away for so long that they think that they continue to do this. And another tragic story that happened because of the Democrats, and that the way that they handle ICE and DHS, now they're enforcing the laws the Democrats don't want, is the Democrats are now trying to call for civil war. Of course, they can't actively do it because they know they'll be held responsible. And so what they do instead is they try to dog whistle for it. You have people like Maxine Waters who will say things like, I'm not calling for a civil war. See, that's their dog whistle. But if you don't do what we want, you're risking a civil war. See how they try to walk along those lines? Or you have people like Karen Bass who are saying things like, well, if you didn't come to LA, the riots were fiery but mostly peaceful. But because the police showed up and enforced their laws, that escalated that they never would have escalated if the police weren't there. Meaning that people would have just broken the law and burned down California, just like 2020 again, and Newsom and Bass would have done nothing about it. Just like they did in 2020. And it took Trump taking over the National Guard and sending in the Marines and putting a stop to it. Just like it's his duty as president to do. And the Democrats do what they always do. They pretend that they're victims. I mean, how could he enforce our laws? We are a state of California. We are, independent. The federal government shouldn't be treading on us. When we are a constitutional republic. And it's really ironic how the Democrats, how they wanted the federal government squeezing every single state when they had power. But now they don't have power. They're all of a sudden, they're pretending that the state rights are very important to them. Well, at least the Democrat state rights. The rights to break our laws and pick and choose which ones they're going to enforce, like with all the illegal voters that they facilitated into our country. And because ICE and DHS are stepping up and fighting back the Trump administration, they're now trying to hurt these federal officers as they're dog whistling for political violence. And they do it all the same way again. They know exactly what they're doing. When they call them fascists, when they call them Nazis, when they call them the Gestapo, and they call them all the other names, and they slander these brave men and women who are just doing their jobs. I guess the Democrats aren't pretending to care about police anymore. But they know what they're doing. They're activating these radical, woke, domestic terrorists. And when they activate them, they pretend that they're, we're against violence, but they know what happens. Okay, because if you could stop Hitler, what would you be willing to do? See, they understand that. That's why they make up these terms. And then they pretend when something really bad happens that they never wanted it. When they didn't, then they would never, ever talk to these officers in that way. And that's because a police officer was ambushed again. So this was in Texas, and this was at a border facility in McLean, Texas. And local police and federal agents returned fire, killing this individual. So he lay in ambush and he shot at police officers, and I believe 2 were wounded, 1 in the knee. And then the officers returned fire and killed the suspect. This is what happens when the Democrats and they run their rhetoric. They know it, we know it, everybody knows it. When they try to sit there and they try to dog whistle and pretend that's not what they're doing, this is simply just not true. We all know it. And with that, I am over on a break. We'll be right back after this greedy profit break. We have a lot more to talk about, including we have a brave hero who stood up after the floods and the fake news on the wrong side of every issue again with the Democrats. We're going to talk about this brave patriot who saved American lives and a lot more. You're not going to miss any of that. We'll be right back after this greedy profit break. This is the CASHLOREN Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, have you wanted to start a podcast but you just don't know where to begin? Podbeam is your all-in-one solution to host your podcast and distribute it all across the internet. With my code on the affiliate link down below, you will gain also 1 month free to try the Podbeam service. This is really your one-stop solution to hosting your podcast. Record it, you put it up to just a single upload. Then that upload will distribute to all of the main platforms all across the internet, including Apple and Spotify and many, many others. It will then also automatically share your podcast across all major social media, making your job easier so you can spend more time recording the podcasts that you love and less time managing them on the back end. Podbeam is your all-in-one solution for your podcast needs. Click on the link below, the CASHLOREN, and get your 1 free month today. The corporate media has lied to the American voters for such a long time that they have lost all their influence as a result. And this has also led to the rise of the independent creators, just like here on the CASHLOREN show, where we take our spare bedroom and convert it into a studio. If you're enjoying this content, it will always be free, but you can continue to help support monetarily if you choose to do so. Click on the locals link. It is only $5 a month. This is just a cup of coffee. Not only will you be supporting an independent creator, but you'll be getting lots of free perks in addition to that as well, including exclusive articles and Sunday shows, and thanking you at the end of videos with your name recognition. Take a moment and consider and help support independent creators as we fight fake news. Go to locals right now, hit the support button for just a cup of coffee a month. It'll be worth every single penny, and you're getting lots of extra benefits too. Often in the world of politics, we have very negative stories where we talk about all the day, such as Epstein, as we did in the first segment, and now a border patrol going to defend our country and the left trying to cause them harm, as they have to wear masks to protect their identities because the left wants to dox them. And now we had, because of the left's rhetoric, one was shot earlier today. And I believe a second was injured, but I don't know if that was by shrapnel or a direct shot. I couldn't find that in the article, but if you know, let me know. However, moving forward on this, one of the good things we do, and not often enough, is we get to talk about American heroes. And these are the brave, everyday patriots who are amongst us, or whether they be a police officer or a firefighter or a teacher, or in the case of their life choices, that they often go unsung for all their good deeds that they do. And unfortunately, in this case, this was brought on by a tragedy where there was a flash flood and killed over 80 people, and down in Texas. And the left and the Democrats, of course, they immediately tried to make this all about, Donald Trump and how he was so bad and he was, going to be so evil. And that is his administration, they was cutting tax dollars for all of these different programs. Where they leave out, of course, is that what they're cutting is the fraud, waste, and abuse. And the fake news, they lied about all of it. See if I can find the article here. So this was from Washington Post. You're going to go up real quick and so you can find out where it was. And one of the things that they lied about when they covered all of this is they're trying to say that Donald Trump didn't have the place fully funded. So this is, if you don't hate fake news enough, there's the right slide. As it goes, the deluge killed nearly 80 people along the fast-surging Texas rivers Friday, struck a region that has grappled with deadly floods before, and yet the disaster exposed gaps in the ability to warn people. And when I say you never hate fake news enough, I mean you will never hate fake news enough. Because there was no gaps. The warnings were there, and structures that have stood for decades were knocked over. This is a once-in-a-century flood. And the fake news networks and the Democrats, they're trying to use this to push their own political agenda, meaning that they just continue to spend your tax dollars and no one's allowed to ask where that money's going, pushing all this leftist radical ideology and all this Marxism on the United States, where $5 trillion goes in, $7 trillion goes out, and no one's allowed to know where all this money goes. It's unbelievable, but Caroline, she points out this very good point here, where she slams fake news about lying to cuts the National Weather Service during the Texas flood. The San Antonio office was fully staffed, 12 forecast meteorologists, and San Antonio office was operating with 11 forecasters, and then some of the other agencies were overstaffed. See, that's the part they don't ever want to tell you. They just lie over and over and over again. You'll never hate fake news enough. But this helped give born to this young hero who he went in and he saved many people's lives. So this is one of the rescue swimmers. There was Scott Ruskin. He directly saved 165 lives, according to the Homeland Security post. And there. And then the Department of Homeland Security applauded the 65 air crew members for their heroism and bravery, including Lieutenant Hopper Blair. I'm not going to try that last name. And flight mechanic Seth Reeves. The men and women are American heroes. They are. They called to action. And they fought for our country. And here is him being interviewed on CNN.
That stood out to you about them? I understand that there were some counselors that had to bash open some windows in a cabin to help get them out as the floodwaters came in. Did they share anything with you that is going to stay with you?
Yeah, it's a good one. There definitely was there's going to be a lot of heroics from this, not only from like first responders, but just the people that were the survivors, right? Like caught in the flood. Hearing stories from some of the camp counselors when I was on the ground with them, just telling them like, hey, I was throwing kids out the door just to get them out of the floodwater, grabbing one crock for them. Like a lot of the kids didn't even have shoes on. I was just carrying them to the helicopter because they're stepping on wet rocks and their feet might be cut up and stuff. So just that experience of like, yeah, these camp counselors and the kids too, like they're being so brave and tough. And like, I know there's a lot of them I was able to kind of like get hands on with. And if you guys, yeah, seriously, like you guys were the best. Like, I'm sorry this happened to you guys, but you guys were so brave and tough, and it made me like a better rescuer because you guys were acting so bravely.
You can't thank these heroes enough. And you never want tragedy to happen. Honestly, at least our side does. I mean, the Democrats are trying to use this as a political tool to keep abusing tax dollars. But instead of honoring these heroes, that when the duty is called, that they step up and they respond. And they saved lives. May God bless them. These are the stories that I wish I got to cover more. Not because they ever want any kind of tragedy to happen, but when it does, we know that we have brave young patriots who will answer the call and do everything they can to save these people's lives. I mean, 165 people now are alive because of their actions. And possibly more. And then even Donald Trump immediately, when they asked for help, what did he do? He brought in helicopters to start searching and rescuing for all these young men and women. they didn't use your FEMA dollars to try to abuse the system to pay for illegal immigrants that should have never been here in the first place. This is where your tax dollars are supposed to be used, is to rescue American citizens. And you hope these tragedies never happen. Right? You hope that everybody, they're born, they grow up, they live a great, safe life. They watch their children, their grandchildren. They live old, they prosper. And then when God calls them back, they go and be with their Lord. But unfortunately, the reality of the world is that it's not always the case. And we could try to mitigate, and we could try to minimize, but tragedies will happen. And this is one where the Democrats should be really ashamed of themselves. Because this was a rare, rare tragedy. And we showed fake news posting how trying to include and trying to insinuate that Donald Trump had defunded these warning centers. And if Donald Trump had not defunded these warning centers, then these people would be alive today. But you will never, ever hate fake news enough, because that is a blatant lie. They know they're lying. The administration knows they're lying. And yet the Democrats know they're lying, but they continue to lie anyways because they think that gives them power. Also on this weekend, we had Elon Musk, who he has decided that he is going to do a third party, he's calling the American Party. And I really wish that Elon would listen to anybody, because he doesn't have the political capital. He certainly has the money, but he doesn't have any other political capital. And there's posts like this is why. As he posted also early this morning, where he's going to, people are saying that Elon should just make with the Republican Party better, or the same ones who've been calling for the primary, the Republicans, who want smaller government. I don't know what Elon believes and what he doesn't believe, because he's referring to like the Tom Masseys and the Rand Pauls of the world, who are deep state, rhino, lying, uniparty, America last. I mean, these are the ones that we need to primary and get rid of. But he believes their BS. It's almost, all this is starting because of the Congressional Budget Office releasing this other report where they have been wrong over and over and over again. And at the end of the day, there really shouldn't be these bureaucrats releasing these reports. But Elon, for some reason, believes it, and believes that all these trillions of dollars are going to be added to the deficit. And they left out many facts in the reports, such as tariff revenue, such as the Doge cuts, and such as illegal immigrants being removed from our country. See, the big, beautiful bill is not perfect, but it's better than what we've had. And it's a step in the right direction. And one of the huge mistakes he's making is he's trying to separate into a third party, as this will only do a couple of things. For one, it's going to fail horribly, and we'll explain why here in a second, as we got about 4 minutes left. But also because even if he does succeed, who is this going to pill off? Okay, one, Democrats who will pretend to be middle, who actually help the left peel away votes, and then these rhinos who are also pretending to be on the right. When you and this third party, what happens is the far left actually gains more power because they are the party of the sheep. So they get the largest of the three branches. And then you have the right side, which is the smaller, and then you have the middles that are actually left, but pretending to be middle, and they help the left, and they actually gain a supermajority in that way. But Elon, as brilliant as he is, a once-in-a-generation mind. I mean, there's a lot he's done that we'll never be able to thank him enough for. He purchased Twitter and turned it into X. He is one of the biggest factors in saving our country from the Democrats' communist revolution. We'll never be able to thank him enough for his contribution to our country. But it doesn't mean that Elon Musk can do nothing wrong. because more than one thing can be true at this very same time. And Elon in this is reading this situation very poorly. And he's pretending to be altruistic, as he posted with this here about the NGOs. And again, I do agree with him. I mean, how we talked about over the USAID giving out to all these NGOs, and these NGOs that are actually government organizations, NGOs standing for non-government, but when you're funded by tax dollars, you are government. And so it's the biggest hoax and scam maybe in the history of the world. And they, of course, overwhelmingly push leftist Democrat propaganda. But Elon Musk, in his attempt to fight them because he didn't think that Donald Trump went far enough, is actually helping them progress further. Now, I think personally, this is more of an Elon Musk being very upset, and this is almost like FU money, as he didn't get what he wanted, and now he's throwing this big tantrum. I mean, even saw he apparently he unfollowed Scott Presler. Scott Presler, the man who helped change Pennsylvania red, who has done more for our country than a vast majority of people ever will. And yet Elon Musk is mad at him all because he called out Elon Musk for saying this money can be spent better. Look at the elections we could win. If he had stuck with the Republican Party and changed the Republican Party and to being more of a conservative party, instead of believing these rhinos BS, Elon could have done the same good that he's doing before. Okay, this is not a quick fight. I don't know if Elon believed that. If he thought that he would buy X and then Donald Trump would get elected and then they'd put Doge in place and then all of a sudden the federal government would just get turned around like that. But the deep state is much deeper than that. And unfortunately, he's reading this very wrong. We go on to the next part here. Let's see, that's the not that one, the next one. All right, so this is from X Alerts on X. Breaking, early polls reveal 4% of all voters support Elon Musk American Party. Right. Yeah, this party is going nowhere. I mean, if he's going to have like the Thomas Masseys and the Rand Pauls and the Mike Pences of the world, I mean, he's going to have the Krasstein brothers joining this. That's where he's going to end up. 4% is way too high. And then go see, we're got a few minutes. Okay, so I want to do this really quick so you can see this because this is where Elon is wrong at. So this is showing the 2016 electorate, and then this is electoral politics. Okay, so this is asking people on various amounts of issues. On one side is the social issues. So this is top down, and the left right is economic issues. So the further down you are, the more liberal you are. The further up you are on the scale, the more conservative you are. And then the further left, the more Democrat you are. And then the more right, the more conservative you are. Everybody with me on this poll? Okay, so that's why you see the dots. Go ahead and you look at the Democrats, what do you notice? They're further and further towards the edge of the map because they tend to be the sheep. Whereas the Republican side is kind of up on the right, but they're more middle. They're not as far to the right. However, on Elon Musk's, in this American Party, is Elon Musk all the way down bottom right. Where's the electorate? That's why this party is going nowhere. And with that, we're out of time. The rest of these stories we have to go back in the stack. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the CASHLOREN Show. Well, independent thinkers, we have come to the top of another hour. The rest of the stories we have to go back in the stack. If you enjoyed this content, take a moment, hit the subscribe, turn on notifications. Most importantly, share a conservative message with your friends and family. We will be back Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on the CASHLOREN Show. We will go and we will expose and fight the fake news networks who have been getting away with lying to you for decades. Our content will always be free, but if you'd like to support more, you can do so monetarily over at locals at the CASHLOREN Show. And there's great rewards and benefits for doing so. For only about a cup of coffee a month, you will receive exclusive articles and you'll have your name at the end of the video, just like these other fine patriots have. If that sounds interesting to you, go over to locals right now for just a cup of coffee a month and help independent creators stay free, keep the lights on, and continue to expose the fake news networks. We'll see you again on the next episode. This is the CASHLOREN Show.